TG Geeks, episode 336, July 26, 2021, of Beats and Bugs. Hello and welcome back to another webcast from TGGeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of Geek-dom and Nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it, and we have a lot to talk about today. Who am I?
You went off script is what you did.
I did. I got lost. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, rainy Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from the heart of the monsoon. Yes, Phoenix, Arizona. It's been very rainy.
It was 74 degrees yesterday.
I know,
unbelievable. In the middle of July.
Barely got into the low 80s yesterday, which for July is a miracle.
Yeah.
Although, as someone pointed out, once the heat comes back, it's going to be ugly here.
It's going to be steamy.
Until the water all evaporates.
Exactly. Here we go.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we are going to talk about the Beatles.
Yeah, imagine that.
How about that? It was spurred on by something that we saw.
We watched,
so,
yeah.
We're going to talk about the Beatles and our experience with the Beatles and everybody's experience with the Beatles and more about the Beatles and moving on. Then we have our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, and we have some feedback. Yay.
A little bit.
And our shout-outs. In our second segment, we have several things that we want to talk about, several important things. And then our wacky weekly recap and our shout-outs, our regular shout-outs, and then we'll be saying the big goodbye.
Oh, God, you did go there, didn't you?
I did.
Oh, God.
Okay, here we go. Well, I meant to say that we're going to say the big goodbye to this episode, not the big goodbye forever.
Oh, no. Yeah. To this episode.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If anybody misconstrued that.
Oh, good heavens,
we're
no.
in this for the long run.
No, we're not going away.
We're going to be 90 and we're going to be on episode 7,000 or something.
Welcome to the two... What are we again?
What are we again? The two old farts.
The two gay farts.
There we are. Well, in this first segment, we had, what was it, Thursday night? Wednesday night?
I want to say, it was either Thursday or it wasn't last night, so it must have been Thursday night.
Yeah, it must have been Thursday night. We watched all 6 episodes of McCartney 321.
On Hulu.
Oh, my Lord.
That was so good.
It was absolutely incredible. It was about the Beatles. It was mostly about the Beatles, but also highlighted a lot of Paul's stuff because he was the focus of the thing. And so it was 30-minute episodes?
Roughly 30-minute episodes
30-minute
each.
Episodes. Wow. And just so much ground was covered. I mean, they started with the early days.
Yeah, even before Ringo was in the band.
Yeah, starting when Paul met George on the bus. Or John. He met George on the bus.
And they started talking about music, and then he met John later.
Yeah. And then it was just how they kind of all came together, and they were doing cover tunes originally. So
that's what most bands do.
And none of them really read music or knew anything about music.
No.
So they had to remember everything. And the interesting thing was they were talking about how they recorded some of this stuff. And who was the guy that Jerry Rubin was?
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin. He was the one that was doing the kind of the interview part, and they were highlighting some of the music, and he was asking some of the questions. Really great questions about, well, what did you do in the studio, and how did you? He said we would just show up, and one of us would show up with a little ditty, and then they'd just work it until it became a thing.
Well, yeah,
and
you look back to
said, well, how did you decide to do this? Well, it happened in the studio.
Yeah. And when you think back to the Beatles, you look at their entire career, and I think it's safe to say that their entire recording career is broken down into three phases. And you've got the very early days, the Ed Sullivan days,
right?
And then you kind of move into the more artsy, like the Sgt. Pepper,
right,
kind of phase, and then Rubber Soul, Sgt. Pepper, that era, and then you move in towards the latter era,
right?
Abbey Road and things like that, and you can, if you look at especially focus on the early stuff, you can see that just machine making music. I mean, just you pop these things out like nobody's business. I mean, there's very little production value involved, because they were just writing songs for the fans. Right. They weren't right, as Paul even says that during the show. In the early years, they were writing thank you songs to all the fans there for supporting them, and it wasn't until they got into Sgt. Pepper and on that they started writing songs for themselves and what they wanted to do in order to feel fulfilled.
Right.
But in the beginning, it was just, she loves you, yeah, I want to hold your hand, things like that. You could just pop those things out like nobody's business. So it was a piece of cake. Just go into the studio, somebody's got a lick, or a little riff and some lyrics, and boom, you've got a song.
Exactly. So they just turned that stuff out. And the interesting thing was that you talk about the Abbey Road studio and how a couple of things that I didn't even realize, that they used a Moog synthesizer on what was the song?
Good heavens. It was one of the lesser known songs.
Yeah. And it just happened to be Robert Moog happened to be in upstairs, and they went and took a look at his machine and said, hey, I want to do that.
We need to use this. It's a song that, I mean, we have, between us, we have the entire Beatles catalog.
Oh, gosh.
And this is a song that I mean, admittedly, I've only listened to the entire catalog through once in my life, because for a band that's only been together and in terms of recording career, only for a number of years, holy smokes, exactly. What they put out was,
oh my God.
I mean, they were beyond prolific. They defined what it means to be prolific. So I haven't managed to hear everything that they've done.
Yeah.
I mean, while I recognized what this song was, it's not on my regular playlist. It was never really a hit.
Yeah, and then they also talked about, hey, Pink Floyd's downstairs doing something, and
let's borrow their engineer.
The engineers were interchangeable. They, one engineer would go upstairs and the other one would go downstairs, and vice versa. And so they were recording at the same time that Floyd was
doing Dark
Side of the Moon. So,
which meant Alan Parsons was involved because he was the one behind Dark Side. So
that
they were
probably
interchangeable.
Engineered some of their unusual sounds,
and even
experimental stuff.
Well, even Paul kind of describes that. I mean, he says there was a number of times where they would do these looped tracks.
Oh yeah,
and Alan Parsons himself demonstrated how they managed to loop tracks for Dark Side. The opening sounds of Money.
Yep. I want to do that.
Yeah. So that kind of shows
running them
how
backwards,
running things backwards, precisely.
Yeah.
And then you have
Beatles are a Satan cult.
I know.
Who knows?
No, you just got these guys that got, and that's the thing. They simply got. I don't want to say they got bored.
Yeah.
But they wanted to find new ways of expressing music and art.
Well, that's what they said. When they got bored, they just started doing weird stuff.
Yeah, precisely. And then
it turned into a thing.
So, which means we now need to talk about someone who I think is arguably the fifth Beatle, and that's George Martin.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It was amazing to hear and see Paul talk about George and what George really brought to the band. He was engaged early on, and how he was the one that had the musical knowledge and the classical training and the being able to write the stuff down and introduce the quartet and the quintet and octet and the strings and all this stuff.
He arranged all of that.
Yeah. And then just some of how his spurring or little nudges, what about if you try this? Or how about if we try that? Or let's just try this and see how it sounds. And George Martin was really instrumental in where the Beatles went.
He played a huge role.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to dismiss or take anything away from the sheer musicality of all four of these musicians.
No, they were just incredible.
We get a really strong sense of how incredibly talented they were, because they would, Rick would play songs back and he did it from a soundboard. So they were able to, they had the masters loaded in, so they were able to mix out just for listening purposes, and hear, okay, what is Ringo doing on the drums, or what is Paul doing on the bass, or what kind of guitar thing is George or John, both of them doing, and you begin to realize the instinctive musical gifts that each four of these men carried. I mean, okay, so they didn't know how to read and write music, but that's not going to take away from their playing.
Incredible musicians,
right?
And just this wealth of knowledge and talent that just poured out of them. I mean, if you look, I never realized how much the bass influenced the Beatles' music and how Paul's playing of the bass, he made it a lead instrument.
He really did
in certain instances.
Yeah, and I admit to some embarrassment that I never really paid much attention to Paul's bass playing. I'd heard many people regard him as
until they mixed everything
and
out
I could
except
hear it.
The bass,
and then I could
exactly.
really hear it. And I'm thinking,
holy moly,
my goodness, he is really doing some amazing things. But then Paul would then later say, and yet I knew to get out of the way here, and it's like, okay, that is really mature thinking from a musician.
Exactly.
I was just astonished at the things that we learned, regarding not just the playing, but not just Paul's playing, but all of them,
and how they grew and how they became more musically conscious of the music they were performing and creating at the same time. The interesting thing about the Beatles is their music and their constant reinvention of themselves. I mean, every album is virtually completely different.
You could say that. I mean, I still say they had their eras.
There's certain eras, but
you could see the sophistication developing with each following album.
Yeah.
I mean, even by the time they got to Help, which was still, you could say still part of that Ed Sullivan era.
Yeah.
At the same time, it still had a greater sense of sophistication in how the songs were all put together and how they were produced, as opposed to like A Hard Day's Night. So you hear the development happening over the years, and you just have to take a step back and just tip your hat at this band that, in my mind, and I'm sure there are other people that are going to argue with me on this one, but I'm going to hold to my opinion, and that is, as far as bands that stand the test of time, not only do the Beatles still stand the test of time, I think they were probably the most defining band to ever come along in American music as well as British music and just world music.
Yeah. Well,
they did more to change the entire musical landscape than any band ever.
And they influenced society significantly with the things and some of their shenanigans too. But it's interesting that they kind of were in the late 50s and doing their cover tunes and really kind of came together as a band in 1960.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until 1964 that they toured the United States, 4 concerts, something like that?
Something like that.
Starting with the Ed Sullivan Show on February 9th, 1964. I remember seeing that. I remember my dad saying, they need a haircut. It was just... It was amazing. And then it was just later on that year when I got stuck on the
the Chicken to Ride
Ferris wheel with my dad as they were blaring Chicken to Ride.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. The song, the song's forever ruined. I want to move a little bit forward because, and this sort of ties in with the Beatles' influence on society because I think I know where this is going to go. But our mutual love for the Beatles really just flourished in later years.
Gosh.
Can you remember? I mean, you don't have to give a date, but do you remember the event?
I do. I remember being at Disneyland. We were with Brendan and Gordon and David. Or was David there? Or
no,
was
actually,
it was just Brendan and Gordon.
No. This was the first time it was just you and me. The second time it was with Brendan and Gordon.
Right. So the first time we heard somebody talking about there was going to be the group, the Fab Four was going to be on the Tomorrowland stage.
It was I think, was it No. We met Michelle later.
Yeah.
At that very first show.
Yeah.
But we heard about it and we said, let's go check this out.
Yeah. And so we were sitting there in Tomorrowland.
And we saw they had, there's a marquee by the stage and they showed 3 showtimes. And I think we said, we'll watch the first one and then we'll go.
Yeah. Thinking it's going to be, all the same thing.
Right.
And oh my gosh, it was the group, the Fab Four, that were impersonators and probably one of the best groups.
Yeah,
around.
They are regarded as the best impersonating group of the Beatles.
And the Tomorrowland terrace stage goes up, and there they are in their Calvin Klein tuxedos, and the Ed Sullivan
lookalike even came out. Yeah,
it was like, oh my gosh! And then they did all of those songs. They were probably 30-minute set, something like that.
I think it was closer to maybe 35 or 40.
Yeah, and then they said, well, we're going to go change clothes and we'll be back.
Yeah, we're going to grow some mustaches and grow our hair out a little bit.
What?
And then we're going to come back and we're going to do music from the Sgt. Pepper era. And I remember you and I looked at each other and said, we're not leaving.
Yeah, because the place was crowded.
It was packed.
Oh my gosh, you could not find a seat. You couldn't find a place to stand.
We were lucky because we got there early.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, we're not leaving.
We're not moving. Nope.
We'll stay for the second set and then we'll leave.
And then they
did the second set.
And then they said, well, we're going
to come back and we're going to do some stuff from Abbey Road. And I went, oh, well, crap.
Wow.
We're here.
Yep.
We're not leaving.
So we sat there through all 3 shows. It was an incredible experience. And then, just after that, the re-emergence of the Beatles.
Yeah.
That was 99, 2000.
About roughly there. I want to say something like that. And then it's like every weekend, the Fab Four were there.
Yep.
And we were always catching them whenever we were at Disneyland because, we were so in love with his band.
Yeah, and we saw them in Las Vegas. We did, what was it, your birthday?
It was for my birthday. Yeah, it was, I got to talk about that because that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. It was a birthday concert combo, and you got us like front row seats, and I'm sitting right in front of Paul and George. John was on the other side of the stage. And so, and they were sort of condensed. I mean, they managed to change outfits during the show, which was an
it was
achievement.
A shorter show.
It was a much shorter show, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And then it was over. Excuse me. And the restaurant we were having the lunch was next door to the theater.
Yeah. This was the old Aladdin, or
I think it was the old Planet Hollywood. I think now it became the Aladdin.
I don't know. I think they've torn it down now. But
I don't know. Yeah.
It was in that transition phase between 2 different types of casinos.
So we're eating at this this Mexican restaurant next door to the theater, and this gentleman comes out and he said, "I saw you guys at the concert." And I said, "Oh, you Fab Four? Yeah. You look like you're really enjoying it." And I said, "Oh my God, we love the Beatles. They're absolutely fantastic. We saw and we're big fans like the Fab Four we saw in California." And he says, "Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm John Lennon." Meaning he's the guy who played John Lennon.
Exactly.
And I remember I became 5 years old all over again because I turned to you and I said, "Oh my God, I'm talking to John Lennon." He turns out he was the nicest man ever, and I wanted to talk to him more, and he even offered us complimentary tickets to come back 2 nights later, because that would have been my official birthday, but we had tickets for Cirque du Soleil that night, so we couldn't see them. But since then, we managed to catch the Fab Four one other time here in Arizona, and we're good in Chandler, I think. Is either Chandler or Mesa?
We saw them twice.
It's twice since then.
No. What was the one that we saw at? It was a different group.
Oh, we saw 1964.
Yeah.
We saw them at Celebrity.
We did see the Fab Four at Chandler.
Right, and then we're going to catch them again.
Or not Chandler, but
the Mesa Arts Center.
Yeah.
And we're seeing them again in October.
Yay!
And we got like 5th row seats for that. I'm really totally excited. But
it's going to be great.
But that just kind of that just shows the cultural impact the Beatles have left us.
And you see people still, today, people of our age and older, and people that are far younger that have gotten into the Beatles, because it's across the board. The music is timeless. Some of their stuff is a little dated, but most of their music is timeless. And once you have that intro to their music, then you can start exploring the rest of what they have.
Remember when we saw Ringo Starr in the All-Star Band?
Yep.
Holy crap. Now that
was
a phenomenal show.
Yes, it was.
One of the
all
best.
Of the people.
One of the best I've ever seen. But something that really tickled me I was looking at the audience, and I'm seeing kids.
Yeah.
Kids wearing Let It Be shirts. And I felt so good, like there's hope for the musical youth of the world. If they're embracing the Beatles music and they're here, not being dragged by their grandparents or something.
Exactly.
That it tells me that there is hope. But you're right. I think the power of the Beatles music is so incredibly strong.
Yeah. And sadly, John is gone.
So is George. Man, what total heartbreaks.
Paul's going to be 80.
Yeah.
And
Ringo's
81.
I know.
So it's like, oh my God, it's Paul's looking good, but he's been a vegetarian since 1975.
Right.
So,
and he's sounding good too. He still sounds very good.
He still sounds a little.
He's getting a little rough,
but
you age and your voice tends to get a little rough. And he did do a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
As an effect. Either you look to wow, that kind of thing, or when he's doing Helter Skelter, in which he shrieks those notes out.
Yeah.
So it's a wonder that his voice hasn't taken some damage.
There's a really nice album. It's called The Beatles One.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a lot of their good songs, but there's also a number of the entire catalog collections out there, and as well as, the individual albums. I would encourage you to explore the Beatles if you have not previously.
I'm sure, and I've heard people say, I don't like the Beatles. You know what? Give it a try anyway, because I'm sure that somewhere along the line, given the variety of music that they wrote, you will find something that fits your musical tastes.
Exactly. Start with Chicken to Ride. Oh, that's Ticket to Ride. Sorry.
Thank you.
She's got a chicken to ride.
Kinky.
You don't need to hear their identification. They're the Two Gay Geeks. They can go about their business. Move along.
Yeah, we can talk 20 minutes on the Beatles easily, which that was effortless.
We have learned to talk 20 minutes on anything at this point.
That's hence, you name it, we talk about it.
You name it, we talk about it. I love the Beatles.
I do too.
I always have. I even liked that horrible film, Sgt. Pepper.
That with the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton? Yeah, that was pretty horrid. Yeah, but the music makes it good.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a few selected birthdays for July 26th through August 1st, 2021. July 26th, Helen Mirren.
I love her.
Actress, Red.
Red.
Oh
Red and Red 2. She owns those movies.
Lord. She's got 3 projects in some form of production. She's of Russian descent.
Well, I knew that.
Her grandfather was stranded in London during the 1917 revolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's why they wound up in London.
And I know she speaks fluent Russian.
No, she does not speak Russian.
Oh, she doesn't?
She speaks fluent French.
Oh, I thought she spoke Russian.
No, she speaks French.
Oh, because I've
No.
seen her in a number of movies where she played a Russian, and her Russian dialect, especially when she's speaking the language, is so perfect that I actually thought she spoke it fluently.
No, that's an interesting fact about her. Even though she has spoken the Russian in some of her films, she doesn't necessarily speak it. She speaks French fluently.
No
even
kidding.
Though she was of Russian descent. So interesting. She was also considered for Miranda in Devil Wears Prada.
I got to think about that one. It would have made a different movie.
And she's a naturist.
You know, I am not surprised.
She
Not
said,
really.
I love it. People on the beach, ugly people, old people, pretty people, fat people, skinny people.
Well, I applaud
She says every people.
I applaud her her sense of self-confidence.
Exactly. Yep. Stanley Kubrick, filmmaker.
Wow, one of the most iconic filmmakers.
Yes, quite an odd bird.
He was a bit of an odd bird.
He never watched his films after they were completed.
No, he refused.
And interesting thing with Malcolm McDowell, after they did
Clockwork Orange?
he had a great friendship and palled around with Malcolm McDowell. Never spoke to him again after the film.
I think that is his way, because it's like, you know, okay, that's done. That ship has sailed. I'm now divorcing myself of it. Now I'm looking to the future.
And he didn't want to talk about his films as he was working on them.
No.
On set. Nope.
Yeah, he was he made some
Did not
amazing.
want to be interviewed ever.
No, he never did. He made some incredible films, and I personally feel, and I think you do too, that 2001 is the pinnacle of his career.
Yep. And then Roger Taylor.
Which one?
Musician, drummer.
Which one? There's Duran Duran and Queen. Which one?
He studied dentistry.
Oh, Queen.
Yes, that Roger Taylor.
Okay. Yeah, it's
I
really
was going
annoying
to
that there are
tease
two
you,
Roger
yes.
Taylors, both drummers out of England. It's like, oh God, which one?
I should
the
have said
dent-
English next.
Yeah, then I would have thrown something at you. No, but when you said dentist, okay, that we
one
know.
tells it.
That one says it all. Unless there's something about Duran Duran's Roger Taylor we don't know yet.
Exactly.
Got any secrets there, boy?
He has an extensive classic car collection,
Yes.
including a Triumph TR4, which was the inspiration for I'm in Love with My Car.
Oh, he loves fast cars. He's crazy about them.
Yep. And then we have Nana Visitor, actress. She's a visitor to
Deep Space Nine? Oh,
yes, Deep Space Nine. Yes. She is one of 26 actors who have acted in a Star Trek franchise and a Doctor Who franchise.
No.
She was in Torchwood.
Oh, she did
in her
Torchwood.
case, yeah.
Okay.
So
I forgot about that.
Interesting individual. I loved her when she was on the documentary of Deep Space Nine.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
There's a scene where yeah, she has words. You know, he's like, oh, you were going to write this and this and this. No, we weren't. Oh, yeah. You know, oh, it's hilariously funny. Yeah,
Yes.
you need to watch the documentary "What We Leave Behind" simply for her.
yes. Oh my gosh.
She's wonderful in it.
Yeah, and she had quite the acrimonious relationship.
You think?
With out of my
Yeah, who played Gul Dukat?
yes. Anyway, and then she says something, and she says, "You're going to cut that, right?"
Which they did not.
They did not. Anyway, Blake Edwards, director, writer, Pink Panther movies, Peter Gunn, a bunch of television, Victor Victoria, among others.
Yes, Victor Victoria especially.
Yep, born in Tulsa. Married,
Oh, what?
Yes, he was
Another
born.
one from Oklahoma.
Yep, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1922. Married Julie Andrews. Most of his work was scored by Henry Mancini. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of his practically Peter Gunn, Mr. Lucky,
Pink Panther.
Pink Panther.
Yeah.
all of those. And then we want to say happy birthday to Ethan Lapham,
Happy birthday.
Facebook friend. July 27th, Gary Gygax, game inventor, designer, famous for creating Dungeons and Dragons and its precursor, chainmail.
Which you know all about.
Yes, I knew all about. I was told you have to get chainmail first, and then you can get the Dungeons and Dragons books, and then it just on from there. The original Troy Perry, founder of the Metropolitan Community Church in 1968. Mm-hmm. Troy is a very interesting man. He's a sweetheart. He is a very nice man. Incredibly nice person. He has this incredible knack for remembering people and details about them.
Didn't we meet him? Because we went and did a midnight mass in West Hollywood. It was either him or Mel White.
I think it was Mel.
Okay.
Because I don't think Troy was there, but I've met Troy a number of times.
Well, I've corresponded with Troy years ago before we met, and he was very nice with me.
Yeah, and he would see somebody and say, "Hi, insert name here," and how's your aunt or whatever.
Wow.
Something that you talked about last time.
He's a savant.
Yeah, I mean, that was just his way. He was unbelievable. He's a really nice guy. Donnie Yen.
Oh, I love this actor.
Rogue One. He was
yes.
Also in Mulan. He was Chirrut in Rogue One, and in Mulan, he was Mulan's father.
I think the father.
Yes.
And I loved him in Rogue One. He was regarded as one of the most popular characters in that movie.
Yep. His mother was a kung fu master.
I believe it. And you see where he gets some of his moves.
Exactly. And he's a classically trained pianist.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's far out.
And the interesting thing about this, one of the things that he likes to do when he does his martial arts acting in a movie is to take something that's on the ground and kick it up in the air and catch it and use it. And,
you've seen him do that a number of times.
Yep. And then we have Facebook friend Andrea Fernandez Valdez. July 28th, Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis. First lady, socialite, writer, photographer, fashion icon.
According to Mom, she was the woman who saved the New York City subway system. And she sent me some articles when we were there last year. And I was texting Mom, and you're saying, "Oh my God, the subway system here is phenomenal, blah, blah, blah." And she says, "You have Jackie Onassis to thank for that." And then she started sending me some articles on it. And I guess the government, the city government wanted to destroy it.
Oh, wow.
And she stepped in and kind of spearheaded a Save the Subway System campaign.
Cool. Well, she was definitely one of a kind. Mm-hmm. And fashion icon, as I said.
Oh, yes.
Who was it made? Was it? Oh, shoot. Out of my brain. Anyway, the little black dress.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Was that Dior?
It might have been Dior. I can't be sure.
Anyway. I'm getting old. Sorry. Beatrix Potter, writer, illustrator, natural scientist. Most famous for her story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit.
Aha.
Bud Lucky, animator. Wow, what a career this man had. Mm-hmm. He was a storyboard artist all the way back to the My Little Pony movie.
Oh my goodness, that is going back.
DuckTales, Sonic the Hedgehog TV series, South Park, Treasure Planet.
He had something to do with
Family
South Park?
Guy. Yes.
Oh my God.
And then at Pixar for Incredibles, Cars. He was the narrator.
His voice work.
He was the narrator, singer, and storyboard artist for Boundin'.
Yes.
And he
which
wrote
is
the
wonderful.
song. Yeah. And he was also in Incredibles. He was Rick Dicker.
Yep. Money.
And then we have Facebook friend Graham Denman and Bruce Groh. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
July 29th, Will Wheaton.
I love this guy.
Actor,
I think he's awesome.
Star Trek.
He's
host of The Ready Room?
Yeah, host of The Ready Room.
Discovery?
And it looks like he might be pulling in an appearance in the upcoming season of Picard.
Oh, cool.
I'm hoping it works.
Yeah.
I really am. I really like this guy a lot. I have such tremendous respect for him.
He has overcome
a lot of adversity.
Tremendous odds.
A lot of adversity.
Worked on himself.
Yeah.
You know.
And he's become an incredible spokesperson for mental health.
Yep.
And it's nice that he was able to come forward, have the courage to come forward,
Exactly.
and put his own face on that. and in doing so helped so many other people.
And faced his own, I guess, homophobia, and
He
has
did.
become a tremendous
He is such an ally. Such
of
an
the
ally to our
LGBTQ
community.
Yeah. And then we have Geddy Lee.
My goodness.
I'll have let you talk about Geddy.
Bass player extraordinaire, screecher. I mean, my God, the
yeah.
notes this man sang, at times you think only dogs can hear.
Exactly.
Just a brilliant bass player from the band Rush. I mean, my admiration for him is also beyond par. Is 1/3 of Rush. I definitely one of the best bass players ever.
Yep. And Ken Burns, documentary filmmaker. He's done so many different things. One of his techniques was, and it's called the Ken Burns effect.
Was that the floating photo or
yeah, it'd been
whatever?
It had been done, but he popularized it significantly to do close-ups
and then pull back, things
and
like that.
pan
Yeah.
left, right, up, and down, and do all of that and insert overdub narration and music and make a singular photo seem like a lengthy sequence.
And you know he's made some sort of impact when you look at the different type of screensaver modules that Apple has for their
Yep.
Macs. And if you're running a slideshow of pictures, one of the modules is Ken Burn.
Well, and iMovie and Final Cut Pro have a Ken Burns effect.
There you go.
You know,
So he's
setting, so-
had his own stamp on pop culture in his own way.
exactly. And then we have Facebook friend Mike Salerno and author that we talked to a couple of weeks ago, Carrie Merrill.
Whose name figures in an upcoming feedback.
Yeah. July 30th.
Arnold. What more needs
I'll
to be
be
said?
back.
The governor.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
His story is interesting.
Yes.
To come from Austria as a bodybuilder and marry into the Kennedy clan and, an actor and governor and just interesting. Yeah. Christopher Nolan, writer, director, some just what you might want to call unusual films, Tenet and Inception.
Oh, yeah.
High,
Very intellectual films.
yeah.
And
other stuff.
He's
too,
definitely a fan of movies and film. Based on all I got to do is take a look at what he did for the 2001 Space Odyssey restoration, and there you go.
Yep. Alton Brown, celebrity chef. His program Good Eats was basically a deconstruction of dishes, highlighting the ingredients and how they combine and react to one another.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, it was
a science course. It was a science show.
course
Yeah.
of a dish and its ingredients and how they all work together. That was kind of what Good Eats was all about, which is fascinating. If you want to know because when he went to New York Culinary Institute, I think, he kept asking, what does this ingredient do in a dish? What does this do? And he annoyed everybody.
Well, I'm sure
by
because
asking
nobody
those
thought
questions.
about it at the time.
Exactly.
They just looked at the end result. Yeah, they were looking at
Throw it in there.
looking at the final product, but not really thinking about the process.
Yep. And then Carol Strachan, actor, 7 feet tall.
Mr.
Mr. Hom, and he was Lurch in the new Addams Family. Frances Delatour, actress. She is only 5'7". However,
She's taller than me.
but she looks much taller on film, and I think a lot of it is forced perspective that they use.
Well, it could be
for her.
I mean, we've seen that with a lot of...
Because she's a tall woman,
Well,
but...
I've met a lot of actors who are shorter than me, and yet they look taller on screen, and I think it's just the way they position the camera.
Yep.
But to say she's only 5'7", I'm like, she's still taller than me.
Well, she's shorter than me. So.
I mean, I'm short.
And and Richard Griffiths were in Hugo together. They were in this mating ritual, shall we say?
Right. I didn't
not salacious. Just it was a
It's a courting.
Marx Brothers.
It was a very it's a very Marx Brothers like courting that is taking place in Hugo. But it's very charming.
Yes.
And I kind of see what you're saying when you say she's only 5'7", because every time you see her on the screen, and I think for me the two biggest roles are in Hugo and then again in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And they depict her as over 7 feet tall.
Right, exactly. And then we have
arguably one of our best friends ever.
One of our best friends ever, Brendan Mahoney. Happy birthday, Brendan. July 31st.
Speaking of Lurch.
Yeah, Ted Cassidy, actor, Star Trek. He was Balok's puppet.
He was actually the android Ruck.
And the android Ruck.
I didn't realize... Oh, that's right. He was the voice. Right, he was the voice of Balok's puppet. I forgot about that.
And the voice of the Gorn.
Oh, I didn't know he was the voice of the Gorn also.
Yep.
Because it was so processed, I didn't hear that.
And father of Sean Cassidy. Richard
What?
Griffiths.
What?
Yeah.
Father of Sean Cassidy? No. The father of Sean Cassidy was Jack Cassidy.
Then IMDb is incorrect.
Boy, IMDb is way wrong because Jack Cassidy was the father of David Cassidy and Patrick Cassidy and Sean Cassidy. Because Sean Cassidy and David Cassidy are half brothers.
Okay.
Wow, IMDb really effed up on that one.
Screwed that up.
Wow.
Yeah, 'cause I thought that was really weird. I read that and I thought, okay.
No. Unless it's a different Sean Cassidy.
Maybe. Richard Griffiths, actor. He was a character actor. Oh my gosh, he was just in everything, practically. And
Richard Griffiths?
Yeah.
I don't see him on the calendar here.
Oh, I forgot. I inserted him.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Because I had Francis Delatour, and then I forgot to put him in the calendar on the script. But he's in my calendar of all of the trivia.
Okay.
So, character actor, many films. He was Uncle Vernon.
Oh, yes.
And mentor to Daniel Radcliffe, among other people. I mean...
they had a very good working relationship.
Yes. And both of his parents were deaf, so he was fluent in British Sign Language.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was fascinating. And Mario Bava.
Oh, my goodness.
Director, cinematographer.
Schlock.
79 films. The master of Italian horror. Or if you want to call it schlock, yes.
Mm-hmm.
S.S. Kresge created and owned two of the largest discount stores, S.S. Kresge Corporation and Kresge Newark chain. He died in 1966 at the age of 99.
Whoa.
Now, in 39, he was worth, in today's dollars, almost $4 billion.
Good heavens.
Yes. And in the company, SS Kresge Corporation, was renamed the Blue Light Special Corporation. No, Kmart Corporation.
I was wondering,
1977.
given his name and that the two corporations began with the letter K, I was wondering if he had anything to do with Kmart.
Exactly. He was Mr. Kmart before it was Kmart. Mm-hmm. And then Facebook friend Brad Jensen.
Happy birthday.
August 1st, Jason Momoa, actor, Aquaman. Interesting thing that he was also in Stargate Atlantis.
Yes, I would say that's probably where the break really happened for him.
Yeah, well, he started out on Baywatch, but then he was Khal Drogo, and he's got actually 6 projects in production right now.
Not the least of which is Dune.
Yep.
Which I think he plays Duncan Idaho.
Correct. And then we have Arthur Hill, actor. He was a character actor. Oh my gosh, lots of television, a couple of movies, a little bit of everything. But my favorite movie, Andromeda Strain.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And Yves Saint Laurent, fashion designer, credited with making ready-to-wear reputable in the 60s. He created a style that let women look comfortable and gave them the confidence to look comfortable and elegant at the same time. And he worked for Dior and was Dior chose Saint Laurent as his successor. And Dior told his mother that, and both of them were confused. Yves Saint Laurent and his mother were very confused because At the time, Dior was only 52, but he died the next year of a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Talk about having presence of mind.
Exactly. And then we have a Facebook friend, Fred Kurtzweg, Steve Wells, Devaney Penn, and good friend Philip Chavez.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, everyone. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast, and hopefully we'll be back up there soon.
Hopefully.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
We want to give a shout out to the Joshua Tree Feeding Program, a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where the clients can select from a wide assortment of nutritional foods to take home. They set it up like a store so the clients can pick and choose what they want, and no food is wasted, so it empowers them to take only what they want. They could certainly use your assistance right now. We just got back from the Founders Party. 33 years they've been doing this.
God bless them.
Food pantry, and while their fundraising that they do, these events is a small portion of their fundraising. They really do depend on donations. They also have a second distribution day for those in the gender non-conforming community that may be experiencing food insecurity, regardless of HIV status. If you want to give a gift to Joshua Tree, either a single gift or a monthly recurring gift, go to jtfp.org.
Okay, got some feedback here. I got to fly through this because we're running out of time. Starting with, and I should say that the articles that the feedback generate here, each of these articles will be featured in the show notes for this episode, number 336 at tggeeks.com. Starting with, regarding Hamish Downey developing new animated film. We got a comment from Hamish. He says, "Thank you so much for sharing. I'm thrilled to be able to announce my new short film project, working title Anomaly, which will be animated by Ross Ozarka. It is co-written by myself, Ross, and Adrian Austin. Plus, it will star Adam J. Yeend in the lead role. Please take a look at the article if you have time. Thank you." Moving on, regarding Ben's Breakdown, 1776 from 1972. Old classics newly reviewed. Got a comment on our website from a person named Tess. And Tess writes, "I'm watching it right now. I have loved this movie/music since I first saw it in a school field trip in 1976. Sit down, John." I got a kick out of that because I also saw it on a field trip in 1976 when I was in junior high. And then we close off regarding TG Geeks episode number 333. We got a comment from Tina de Bellegarde. She says, "This segment was terrific. Carrie Merrill was so engaging. She was.
Yeah,
Carrie was
she is.
awesome.
She's great.
She's, as an author myself, I found her experiences with the writing process fascinating. You offered her some insightful questions and a lively discussion. And thank you for the birthday shout out. I had a great day and I loved your shows. I just caught the last 2 episodes. You guys kept me interested and laughing the entire time. Some great suggestions for my viewing pleasure, and what a nice treat to hear my feedback on the program. And that is our feedback for today.
And if you want to leave a comment, you can do that on our Facebook articles that we publish. Everything we publish goes right to Facebook. It goes to Twitter. It goes to Instagram. Or you can comment at tggeeks.com directly on the article or episode. We also have a listener feedback line in case you want to call and leave us a voicemail. We'll play that on air and you can be famous too. You can call 469 TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. Well, everybody knows that we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please talk to those artists, talk to those writers, filmmakers, etc., those independent creators wherever you find them, on their websites, on their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Talk to them, talk to other people about their stuff, buy their stuff, support independent creators. And we would ask that you would go to podcastawards.com and vote for TG Geeks Webcast in the LGBTQ category for Best Podcast. We would appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like 2 gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're 2 gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Well, this is our second segment, and there's something that I really wanted to talk about this time, and we just ran the spot for Trans Lifeline. We have become, I won't say we're accidental activists.
Oh,
again.
George Takei will have your head for that.
Yes, but it's interesting how things just keep being put in our path to help us to grow and help us to be more informed and help us to spread the word. And I will say that transgender individuals have made up a big part of our whole last week.
Right.
And when we were out of town last weekend, we had drinks and some lovely cake at some friend's house, some close friends. They're Facebook and MyChat friends, and they have a transgender child, and who's an adult child at this point. But they're very supportive, extremely supportive of Fiona.
Right.
And it's amazing how well adjusted somebody can be when they are accepted, and how society is moving more towards that. And it's allowing more people to discover who they really are and to live authentically. And that was...
I think that's a key point. I think what's happened is we've seen a lot of people are afraid to undergo that process because they look at society, they look at families and see, well, there's no acceptance there, and they're afraid to do it. But with people like Mike and Della, I mean, what they've done is just so incredible. But not just them.
Yep. And we actually had lunch with somebody that has just recently discovered that and come out as transgender, and her mother is extremely supportive, and it's amazing how that makes a huge difference. And then we had some friends whose child just recently came out as transgender, and we're just going to leave that one there. And it's a younger individual, and we'll just leave that there. And their parents are very, very supportive. All of these parents are so supportive, and society has become a little more supportive than it has in the past. And I just want to thank everybody that knows somebody that's transgender, or has a relative or a child or a parent or a brother or a sister who is transgender, and please be supportive of them. Talk to them, help them out, let them know that there are people that care about them, and it makes a huge difference in their lives.
It does. We got to talk about this next thing. We don't have a lot of time, but Joe Bell, which just came out last Friday. Now, my review has been published at tggeeks.com, and we'll have the link for that review in our show notes for this episode. But, honey,
wow!
Now you watched it with me.
Oh my God!
And we were both just gutted when it was over. We were shattered.
Yeah, I was in tears almost the entire film. It just, you talk about, and this is a film of somebody coming to terms with being supportive, and who thought they were supportive, but they weren't.
Right.
And
exactly.
So it really is, I get verklempt.
I understand. I really do.
Yeah.
It's an amazing film. If you have a chance to see it, it's an independent film. If you have a chance to see Joe Bell with Mark Wahlberg, please see it.
Yeah.
You will not be sorry.
And I'm glad that society is moving toward acceptance of LGBTQ plus.
Yeah, we have a long ways to go.
Conforming, the whole 9 yards.
We still have a long ways to go, but we're still making progress.
Thank you.
And it's time for our weekly review. These are the stories and articles that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com. And the links for each of these articles will be found in the show notes for this episode number 336 at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, July 18th, Nerdy Chupacabras number 57.
Nerdy Chupacabras.
I didn't say that, you did.
You said Nerdy Chupacabras.
I said nerdy.
No, you said nudie.
Nerdy. On Monday, July 19th, TG Geeks episode number 335. Nerdy. On Tuesday, the 20th, Hamish Downey's Nudie 5 Questions. See what you made me do?
Yeah.
Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Sean Patrick Murtaugh. On Wednesday, the 21st, Ben's Breakdown, Joe Bell and his crusade against bullying. On Thursday, the 22nd, Jaws franchise. Jars franchise. That's a Vicar of Dibley joke. Thank you very much. Yeah. Jaws franchise, Prince of Darkness, Texas Chainsaw 2, Killer Clowns, and Night of the Creeps apparel at Fright Rags. And they really have the most awesome merchandise there.
They have some cool stuff.
On Friday the 23rd, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Alex Kerr, which is a video this time. And then on Saturday the 24th, Comic-Con at Home Masquerade on Tumblr. And that is what we ran on our website at tggeeks.com. Have some shout-outs that we need to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News is put out by Brian Weber. Well, I don't know if he still has the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News.
I do not.
Oh, well, he usually... I see it's not on the script.
No.
No?
It's not there anymore.
Oh, he doesn't have the Post-Dispatch News?
No.
Okay. All right, well...
No, it's gone.
Oh, I didn't realize the Post-Dispatch...
Arkle is gone.
Oh. Okay, well, I know that Arkle is gone off Twitter, but I didn't realize that the Post-Dispatch News was also gone. I thought he was still publishing that.
No. That's where they're tied to Twitter accounts.
Oh, well then, so be it. Okay, so, well, Brian Weber is a supporter of us, and he had a little snafu with his Twitter account. So, for now, Arkle is Geek of All Trades, and Geek is spelled G, 3, K of All Trades. So, There you go. But you can also find him on YouTube. He has his Arkle Studios there, a number of projects, including his Shameless Cash Grab series, which is now in season 6, his Rants vs. Zombies series, which has ended, but you can always listen to past episodes, as well as Arkle Tier Ranks. He also has videos of Trick and Treat and Star Trek Online. We must also give some shout-outs to some Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles there. First, to Gay Geeks After Hours for literally saying we could share away there. Their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for pretty much the same. And their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, we give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
All right. Thank you, Jeremiah. And we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. You can also hear us on Sci-Fi Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page. Remember to comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail, 469-TG-GEEKS or 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay safe. Wear a mask continuously until this pandemic is over. Peace.
Cheers.
Get vaccinated. He said nudie.